right now. It is up on A's Cast right now. Bill Moriarty going at it with our guy, Grady Fuson, one of the great talent evaluators in the history of baseball. I mean, he's in every Hall of Fame. He's won every award you can get as an evaluator. The other day I was listening, Bill. I don't know if you know this, but I fell in love with Henry Bolte. A's draft him. They bring him to the field. And you know where we do our show on the field, they're like, okay, we're going to bring Henry Bolte over. I've never seen Henry Bolte, right? He's a high school kid, Palo Alto High, great story, second-round pick. They bring him over. I'm like, this guy looks like a man-child with a child's head on top of his body. I mean, he's strapped. He looks like he played free safety in the NFL, but he looks like he's 12 years old. So he's got this grown man's body and this kid's head, and we start talking to him. He's polished. He's bright. He can I'm like, I love this guy. And then I've loved him ever since. Then I got to host a banquet, the off-season banquet down here in Santa Clara County. Has done a huge baseball banquet for many, many years. And he was one of the guys honored, so I got to deal with Henry. The more I get around Henry Bolte, the more I love Henry Bolte. I just saw him the other day when Stockton was in town playing San Jose, because we scout. You need to know that, Bill. We're everywhere. We go into to San Jose Muni, and we scouted it. Henry Bolte, big, strong, fast. You just had a long session with Grady Fuson, and when I heard you guys talking Henry Bolte, I was like, yes. That is a name A's fans need to understand. I don't know when he's going to show up, but he's going to show up.
Yeah, well, he's still young. You know, he spent throughout most of the season, he was still just 19 years old. He just turned 20 last month. But as you heard in my interview with Grady Fuson on A's Cast, they're very excited about him. And, we weren't quite sure how, because when the season started, the A's did not send him out to a full season team. They held him back in Arizona because they really wanted to work on his swing a little more. And, that maybe sounded a little concerning to start out with, but, he really took to what they had to say. He really took those changes to heart. And when they did send him out to Stockton, he got off to a great start, and he really continued it through the whole season. What's really great is when you see a guy go through a whole season and never really have a really down period, maybe where they get into a couple weeks where they just totally stink sometimes. Henry Bolte was pretty consistent throughout the season. And even if he had a couple of bad games, he bounced right back. And again, he was only 19 for most of the season, just turned 20, and he led that Stockton team in home runs, he led it in walks, and he led it in stolen bases. Again, a guy who was 19 years old most of the season. To see him do that right out of the box is very exciting, very promising. And I think you could hear how excited Grady Fuson, who, is not always the most effusive in his praise, was about Henry Bolte. You could tell he's genuinely excited. So that's great to see. I'm sure we'll see him, at High A Lansing next season. And, if he does well there, on to Double A Midland before the season's over, perhaps.
Well, two things. Henry Bolte, have you ever been to San Jose Municipal Stadium where the San Jose Giants play?
I have not been to the park in San Jose. No, I haven't. I know that's right by you.
Yeah. So I played there. That's where San Jose State, we also played. I gave up a lot of home runs, but I never gave up an oppo bomb to a right-handed. To go oppo, right? It's known as a big ballpark.
Right.
To go oppo right-handed, we saw Henry Bolte go oppo right-handed at San Jose Muni. We were like, whoa. That's power. That's legitimate. We're talking wood bat, oppo bomb. That was huge. By the way, Grady Fuson. So I've known Grady for years. He's actually also a family friend. He and my brother are members together at San Diego Country Club. My nephew knows Grady real well. So I've known Grady just professionally, and I've seen Grady down in San Diego at the course a lot. Grady told us, remember the first Fuji's going to pitch to live hitters, right? It's like a big deal. Everybody gathered around right there at Fitch Park and everything. And then Grady came on the show. And then, so before Grady's like, oh God. And we were like laughing. He's like, well, there's a reason why you only saw him face left-handers. He told us all this stuff that you needed to know. Like, yeah. So Grady doesn't blow smoke about anybody. So if he's excited about a guy, as everybody was so excited about Fuji, Grady wasn't excited. If Grady knew exactly what the A's were getting with Fuji and no control. That's why they didn't have him face right-handed hitters when he first. Everybody in the media gets to see him for the first time. Only lefties, so he wouldn't kill anybody. So that speaks volumes. All right, this is it. The minor league the minor league season is over. Everybody is done. Tell me what you're excited about the A's minor league system heading into the offseason.
Well, I think, most of the people to get excited about in the system are, some of the younger hitters. I think one of the guys at the top of the list as pleasant surprises this year is shortstop Darell Hernaiz, who came over from Baltimore in the Cole Irvin deal. We had no idea what we were getting in him. And quite honestly, his numbers didn't look that great when the A's acquired him. And, he's had one of the best seasons of anyone in the A's minor league system. Started out in Double-A. Now in AAA. He just turned 22, and he hit over 300 its first season in the A system between Double-A and AAA. And, he pretty much played every day this season, wasn't hurt, was very durable, been playing shortstop. As you know, the A's don't really have big hitting shortstops right now at the major league level. And having a shortstop who can hit 300 at AAA right now, I think is an exciting development. So I'm very eager to see what Darell Hernaiz can do in spring training next year, and if he might perhaps be able to win himself a spot on the main roster. We know Lawrence has already made it to the major leagues, but right behind him is Denzel Clark, another incredibly talented outfielder who, was a Double-A this year. A lot of people thought that was kind of an aggressive assignment for him, but he had probably better numbers than Lawrence Butler at Double-A, actually. He had to have a shoulder surgery late in the season, but Denzel Clark looked very impressive at Double-A, and he could just be a step away from joining Lawrence Butler in the A's outfield in the future. I think those two guys are two of the most exciting players in the system, but you've also got guys like Brett Harris at third base, who finally got promoted to Vegas and finished the season in AAA. He's going to be playing in the Arizona Fall League on the A's squad, along with shortstop Max Muncy, who got promoted to Double-A this season too.
Muncy's going to Arizona?
Yeah, Muncy's going to be playing in the Arizona Fall League along with Brett Harris.
Do we have an update on, because Brett Harris got hit in the face, it ended his season. Fran Reardon told us it was like a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Any update on his health?
I've just told that he's going to be ready to go in the Arizona Fall League, and the Arizona Fall League starts in about a week. I think it starts October 2nd, So Brett Harris is on that squad. Max Muncy is on that squad. So you should be seeing a lot of them in Arizona in the coming weeks. And I think, those are two of the more exciting guys in the system as well. Brett Harris, doesn't do anything kind of that really pops, anything too dynamic, but he kind of does everything well. Everybody I talk to in player development really likes the way he plays the game. Finally got a chance to get to AAA at the end of the season. Started off a little slow, but then finished the season strong before he got hurt. So Brett Harris could be in the mix at third base along with Jordan Diaz. But Max Muncy is just a step behind a former first-round pick who's finished the season hitting 300 at Double-A Midland. So he's not that far away as well, right behind the other shortstop, Darell Hernaiz, I mentioned. So there are some, exciting young players near the top of the system that could, perhaps be in Oakland next season, given that, there still will be plenty of opportunity. And I think it'd be really exciting to see Lawrence Butler or Denzel Clark and maybe Brent Rooker together in the A's outfield by the end of next season. That's a pretty powerful, pretty dynamic trio if that could come to pass before next season is through.
I just write notes down. I think this might be a great time to bring this up. And Brandon Gomes, the Dodgers GM, was on MLB Network earlier today, and they were, talking about all the things the Dodgers have done. And so I'm not comparing the Dodgers to the A's, but just to remind people that defense matters, because our defense has been horrific, absolutely horrific. The Dodgers defensive runs saved at shortstop. Now, I remember Corey Seager, and they've had other guys since 2017 to 2022 has either been 0 or negative. This year, by going less offense, because they can't shift like they used to. They used to shift and hide Seager and Turner on the left side. This year, because they said, you know what, we'll take less offense, defense matters more, they're plus 17 at the shortstop position. Defense matters. Defense really matters. And when you tell me Brett Harris, he just does everything, you know what? That affects the box score every single day. That helps you win games every single day. We need to find players like that's what Ryan Noda has shown this year. That's what Zach Geloff has shown this year. Guys who show it's 162 individual games. Get me guys that affect every single day and give you a better opportunity to win. Those are the type of players. Denzel Clark, by the way, we've heard so much about him. Is he that great of an athlete? I mean, it sounds like his athleticism is absolutely off the charts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's as pure a raw athlete as the A's have in the system, and he's got Olympians in his bloodline and lots of other former, professional
Team Canada,
athletes.
baby.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought Denzel Clark should have started off this season at High A Lansing, but David Forst, I'm told, had so much belief in just his raw talent and his raw skills that he pushed for him to start the season at Double A Midland. And like I said, if you look at the numbers, he really had better numbers even than Lawrence Butler at Double A Midland, but he got hurt late in the season. So I think Denzel Clark is just one of those phenomenal athletes. If you push him to the next level, he might struggle a little bit at the start, but he's got enough raw talent that, I think he can probably overcome whatever hurdles he faces. Hoping we get to see him at AAA next year and have him just be a step away from being in the A's outfield because he's such an exciting, dynamic player. And, if you've got guys like Denzel Clark and Lawrence Butler, once they get their feet wet in the big leagues, they are those kind of exciting, dynamic players who can make things happen that, make the game so much more exciting to watch. And then if you combine them with guys that a lot of times what you were just talking about is referred to as also baseball IQ, guys with high baseball IQ like Zach Geloff. You see, he knows what he's doing on the field. He knows what's supposed to be happening, what he's supposed to be doing. And I think Brett Harris is another guy kind of like that at third base. Maybe he doesn't have the raw talent as Geloff does, but another guy with a high baseball IQ. You have enough of those guys on the field combined with raw, talented, dynamic players like Butler and a Clark, and suddenly you have something very exciting that you can put together in terms of the team that you're putting out on the field every day.
Bryson Stott, Mason Miller, they're just kind of like the recent guys that went to the Arizona Fall League and played well, and next thing you know, it led them to the big leagues. I mean, Stott last year's playing in the World Series, starting. So just talk about how big it is for these guys to go to the Arizona Fall League and the name you make for yourself, not only with your franchise, but with the other 29.
Well, and especially right now with the A's. I mean, there's just nothing but opportunity, as you can see, if you show something, anything in the minor leagues for the A's right now, they're going to want to take a look at you. Look at, on the pitching side, Joey Estes, last season, the season before this one in 2022, he was pitching an A ball. He's just 21 this year. He ends the season, starting on the mound for the A's. If you can do it in the minor leagues, there is tremendous opportunity for you in the A's system right now. Something else I was going to mention to you about that. Joey Estes probably had the best season of any pitcher in the A's minor league system at the age of 21. And he also had the most innings pitched of any A's minor league pitcher this year. I'm curious if you have any idea how many innings Joey Estes pitched to have pitched the most innings of any A's minor league pitcher this year.
Why are you trying to upset me? You know that's going to upset me. I'm having to deal with this Blake Snell crap. Guy's going to be the NL Cy Young Award winner, and he doesn't even average 6 innings a start. All right, lay it on me. I couldn't. Did he even pitch 100?
Yeah, he did pitch 100. So Joey Estes pitched more innings than any pitcher in the A's minor league system. This season, he pitched a whopping total of 137 innings this season to max out innings pitched in the A's system. The A's had a total of 10 pitchers to pitch 100 innings or more this season in the minor league system, and Joey Estes topped the list at 137. So I know that's a stat you just love to hear. I just thought I'd share that with you to brighten your day a little bit anyway.
How do you get better not playing? We're literally the only sport that wants less. There's no other sport that wants less. No, you can't find one. You can't find any sport where they want their athletes that they pay to play less. We're in a sport, do less. And there's no proof that it protects them. There's no proof that it keeps it. We have more injuries than ever before.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we want guys to not pitch in the minor leagues. And we've been having this conversation about the Giants. We don't want you to pitch in the minor leagues, but when you come up to the big leagues, now we want some innings out of you. I mean, the whole way we're doing it is absolutely ridiculous. But I like Joey. You know what? There's going to be a long list of guys that are going to head to Hohokam, Fitch Park, Mesa, Arizona. And I think all these guys are going to be thrown out there and said, all right, boys, go fight for jobs. There's going to be a huge fight. But let's talk about Cusick, Hoagland. Give me guys that have come over in trades that are supposed to help. Where are these guys?
Well, I think, honestly, some of the most promising pitchers in the system are
in there too.
Are some of the most promising guys are not the high profile guys. This season, Joey Estes, a lot of people hadn't heard of him. I know I mentioned him to you early in the season. Certainly he's probably the most a promising pitcher at the top of the system. Also, a couple guys at Double-A this year who are going to be pitching in the Arizona Fall League. Jack Perkins was just the A's, I think, 5th round draft pick last year. He had a great season this year, finished the season at Midland. Also, Royber Salinas, who came over from Atlanta in the Sean Murphy deal, he struck out an average of, I think, almost 12 guys per 9 innings at Midland this year. He was injured for part of the season, so he's going to be pitching in the Arizona Fall League. I think those guys are pretty promising. They're both just 22, 23 years old, finishing the season in Double-A. But unfortunately, guys like JT Ginn still, injured most of the season. Ryan Cusick came back, was healthy for most of the year, definitely had an improved season at Double-A this year. His strikeout numbers were up. That was good to see. Also good to see, you mentioned Gunnar Hoagland. He had been injured ever since he'd been traded to the A's. He finally got back on the mound this season and pitched at Stockton, Lansing, and even finished the season at Double-A Midland. So it was good to see him be back on the mound. And he was actually pitching pretty well most of the season, looked really good during his stint at Lansing. So hopefully Gunnar Hoagland can stay healthy and, show what he can do this season now that he, at least finished the season at Double-A. He's moving up the ranks. But I think, some of the more promising pitching prospects are the guys that weren't quite as well known. Joey Estes, Jack Perkins, Royber Salinas. Those guys are probably at the higher end of the system who are more promising. But I think the A's, in whatever deals they make this season, are going to be looking for pitching again. You can trade for pitching like the A's did last year, and you think you've really restocked the pitching in the system, and it goes quickly. Half those guys end up on the IL, and different things happen. And honestly, most of the A's, most promising prospects in the minors right now are the position players. The system is a little thin on pitching prospects, particularly at the higher end of the system. So I think the A's will probably be out fishing for some more pitching prospects this offseason.
Jack Perkins sounds like an actor who would be starting in a Western.
Yeah, played by Brad Pitt, maybe.
Jack Perkins starring as Slinger. I like it. Jack Perkins. Jack Perkins. You know what? Jack Perkins starts. It's win day when Jack Perkins takes the mound. I like that. I've had our young guys off the air. Well, actually, Lawrence Butler said it on the air. But and some of our guys, they're not young. Like Ryan Noda at 27 is not young. He's inexperienced, I like to say. He's not young. Sure. But these guys coming back for the A's have all told me they think they win next year. And I was like, all right. I mean, you're not going to do it unless you believe it.
Right.
But when they say, we're not going to be this bad, we're going to win games, we're going to compete. When you hear that Geloff's going to say it, Butler's going to say it, Noda's going to say it, these guys believe they're going to come out and be way better than people think. They're going to ditch some of the veteran baggage. This is going to be their clubhouse. They know it's going to be their clubhouse. Tony Kemp told Lawrence Butler, this is going to be your guys's. I'm out of here. This is your guys's. Take over. Do you buy what they're selling?
Well, it's a very good question. As you know, I mean, it all starts with confidence. If you don't believe you can win, certainly you don't have a chance of winning. But just believing it doesn't mean it's going to happen either. But you do have to start with that. So, I mean, hopefully the A's are going to be better next year. I mean, it'd be hard to be worse, and it'd be hard to even be at the level they've been at this season. So let's hope that the young guys will be a little more experienced and be able to take it to the next level. Do I think they're going to be a 500 club next year? I think that's probably a bit of a stretch. What we can hope for is that they play better, they win more, and they set the stage, for the next winning team. But I think that's what you hope to see, is more young come in, the young guys who've been a little more experience, they play a little better, they're able to pave the way for the new guys who are coming in. But you've got to have that confidence no matter what, and you've got to believe it before you can do it. So it's good to see. That's why guys like Lawrence Butler, who are positive, excited, enthusiastic players, are really important, because if you're a young guy who comes to the big leagues and you're like, well, I don't know, maybe, that's not going to get you anywhere. You need guys who are excited to play, excited to win, and believe in themselves. And if you get enough of those guys on the team, and obviously they have enough talent, it will eventually happen. And I think there are enough exciting young position players in the system right now to form the core of a new team if you just look around the field. So that potential is there. It'll take a little time, and I think the main question is going to be, do you have enough pitching to fill in around it? And I think it's going to be a constant matter of adding pitching, looking for pitching, finding little pitching gems that other people overlook. But I think the position players are there. I mean, eventually Soderstrom is going to figure out the big leagues. He's going to be a productive guy. We can see Geloff is going to be a productive guy. I think he's going to be a core for years to come, hopefully. And
I'm trying to get a statue of him right now.
Yeah, I mean, what more exciting young player has come up with the A's who looks like he's going to be there, for a long time to come than Geloff?
How about this comp? I'm comparing him to Ryan Sandberg.
Well, I'll take it. One Ryan Sandberg in the middle of your infield can make a whole hell of a lot of difference, to a team. And if you could just fill in around him,
you're old enough to remember. A lot of people, when I say Ryan Sandberg, they go, "What? The guy who's the Hall of Fame." Size, power, infield, can run, can steal bags. That's what Ryan Sandberg was. Sandberg stole 54 bags one year, a couple of years of 30. He had tremendous power. He had range. He caught everything in front of him. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, for God's sakes. But I think if you're looking for I'm not going to compare Geloff to Roberto Alomar, Joe Morgan. I think if there's a real comp for Geloff, I think Sandberg's really good.
And I think, what you're saying is he was so multidimensional, and you just don't see a lot of these truly multidimensional players in the game anymore. Everyone's, pretty one-dimensional, even a lot of the star players for the most part. The good thing about a lot of these guys that the A's have and that are coming up, I feel that they're really multidimensional. Geloff is multidimensional. Lawrence Butler is a potentially multidimensional player. Denzel Clark is a multidimensional player. These guys have speed, they have power, they can play defense. There's a lot of different things they bring to the game. And if you have just a few of those truly multidimensional talents on your squad, that can really make up for, maybe holes you have elsewhere in the lineup. And I think that's the exciting thing about a lot of these players coming up with the A's. Some of them are multidimensional talents, which can really multiply their value at the end of the day. And if you've got maybe a shortstop coming up who can hit, whether it's a Hernaiz or a Muncy to pair with a Geloff in the middle, maybe you got a guy at third like Brett Harris who kind of knows what he's doing, kind of anchor the infield there. You got Noda at first. You've got either Langoliers or Soderstrom or even Kyle McCann, who had a great season at AAA, being able to be behind the plate. And then you've got some exciting guys like Lawrence Butler and Denzel Clark in the outfield, maybe to pair with a Brent Rooker or something like that. That's the makings of a productive lineup and a pretty exciting team. And if you can build enough pitching around that, that's a team that can compete once they've got a little experience under their belt. So, there certainly is, a future that we can envision for a winning A's team here.
You are the best, my friend. Let's hook up soon once Arizona Fall League starts and check in on how our guys are doing.
Absolutely. And as you were mentioning earlier, Chris, if anyone's wondering where the A's will be playing next season, just take a look at my cap here. If anyone in the media or anyone else is unsure, it's really not that complicated where the A's will be playing next season.
Right. It's not. It's like they're all trying to sell. They want to sell you, the vague, and they're leaving. And it could be true, but next year, the A's are in Oakland. That is just a simple fact.
Yes.
That's a simple fact.
You and I and the true Oakland A's fans, no doubt where they will be next year. So hopefully the media can get it right before long.
And I know I don't have to say this, but I want to say it every time. Thank you for what you do for us on A's Cast, like this interview with Grady Fuson. For an A's fan, getting this kind of information is gold. You do great work for us. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And if you are an A's fan and you really want to know about the minor leagues, there's no one better to listen to than A's special assistant Grady Fuson. And you can find my interview with him on A's Cast along with all Chris's great work too. So I'll look forward to talking to you again, Chris.